teachers, all of you have had a part in developing what God put into him. And we don't know yet where that's going to take Joseph. I have a little glimmer. I think he has a little glimmer. But we don't know where that's going to be. But anybody who's encouraged him, anybody who's taught him, anybody who's just said, wow, I couldn't even begin to do that. I mean, you're a part of what God has done in him. So as a mom, I appreciate that. And now that I have filled the time,
I don't need that.
I will mention, because he won't say, but just in the last couple of days, we like to talk about the awards the kids get here, even though this is our big kid. He got, let's see, the Academic Excellence in Academics, something award for having the most music, no, the highest music of his music courses, the highest GPA in the music courses of the graduating seniors. Wow. So that was one.
Was not expecting that.
Didn't expect that. He didn't know.
At all.
Then he got the School of Liberal Arts Music Student of the Year.
School of Music Student of the Year.
Well, it says, okay.
It's what I was told.
School of Music Student of the Year. We didn't expect that either. We didn't know about that one.
I also didn't know it came with $200 till after I got it.
He was happy with that, and a nice little trophy.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, he received the Pride Award.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, there were two male awards this year, but he got the Pride Award for the Louisiana Tech Band of Pride. So, kind of a big deal. Anyway.
Thank you for filling time. For those of you who don't know, I'm live streaming this to several of my class professors so that they can grade me. So if that didn't work, I get no grade and I don't pass, so that would have been bad. I'm also streaming to several members who helped me with the project, and I'll get to them in a little bit. So for those of you who don't know who I am, which I don't think is anybody, so people on the stream who don't know who I am, my name is Joseph Ham. I am a graduating senior at Louisiana Tech, and graduating with a double major in computer science and music industry studies. And for those of you who may not know, I am also the current praise and worship leader here at the Gospel, and also pseudo-media person, so that's what all that junk was back there, doing all that. As I mentioned, I am a graduating senior, and for my degree requirements, I was required to do a capstone end-of-course project. So back at the beginning of this quarter, I met with several professors to determine what we were going to do. And I've had an idea for a very long time to create a music album, but I've had several people ask me, including my mother and my grandfather, have asked me in the past, you should create an album of the songs we do at church. And I don't know what's on this next slide, so Catherine, can you go to the next slide? So the purpose of the project, as we can see here, was to create a mini album of worship songs that we play here at the church in the style of we do at the church. So the main instrument is the piano. And many of these piano parts are actually based on what I do, but all my parts are based on what my grandmother did for 30-odd years here. So in many ways, this album is dedicated to her. I say dedicated, you're right there. So, but in all seriousness, I took over because she wasn't able to continue really leading praise and worship, and so I wanted to create something to where she can go and listen to these songs on a much more regular basis, and then, spruce them up a bit, add a little bit of extra things to it, get that grade. So let's go to the next slide. So for the background of the project, my personal history in music, my mother gave a little bit of information, but my music really started with my great-grandmother, who taught me piano from a very young age. But also, as I mentioned, growing up here in this church, getting to hear the piano music every Sunday night. I'm 23 now, so 23 years. And honestly, just falling in love with that. Of course, I am also a percussionist, but I've been writing music for about 9 years at this point. mostly arranging, but some original stuff. And with that, as I mentioned, why this selection? Because this is what I do. I believe God gave me my ability to play. I believe God gave me my ability to write. So I wanted to create something that would be with me for eternity. If, many of us here are believers, and we believe that we will live forever. And so I wanted to create something that honestly I could have forever. And also something to, as I said, give to my grandmother for her to be able to listen to. And as for my future goals in recording, at the completion of this degree, I plan on creating a studio here in Ruston. Very specifically, I do video, I do audio. My sister does marketing. We're currently planning to start a business here in Ruston where, let's say someone wants to make a commercial. Instead of having to get several different people to do several different parts, we provide the filming, the editing. If you need original music, we can do that. Sound production, marketing, all of it under one umbrella, so it's cheaper. So we focus on churches, we'll focus on smaller businesses, so that they don't have to go to places like LA, Nashville, New York. And honestly, Ruston, even with Louisiana Tech's music program is becoming a lot more impressive, and they are bringing in a lot of groups. And so this is becoming a very central location for a lot of music and a lot of media, but also with the internet continuing to grow as it is, especially with the pandemic we had this year, there is a constant need and a constant grow for this. So I am looking to continue in that. And of course, I will continue writing music, I will continue playing music, I will continue doing all that, but that is my current future goal specifically in recording. Can we go to the next slide, please? So for my goals of the project, I had to request the rights to arrange all this music because this was a cover album. None of these pieces are original. Originally, I was going to do 11 songs. That was insane. There was no way I was going to do that in a 10-week period from start to finish. So at the behest of the board, I reduced the project down to about 6 songs. And we'll get to the list of songs in just a moment. But once I got the rights to the song, and for the most part found out all I need are certain rights that are covered if you put them on something like Spotify for purely streaming. So for the most part, it's free. Unless I want someone to download it, in which case, that's a whole other subject. But at that point, I began arranging and recording. As I mentioned, many of the parts are based on what I already do on the piano during Sunday, so that's not too big of a deal. The biggest thing was having to create intros for many of them, since the way we do praise and worship is we go one song into the next, nonstop. I determine what we're playing as we're going, led by the Spirit. So there are no intros, so I had to create that, had to create endings, of course, and decide if I wanted any other instruments and start creating those. We also had to record vocals, and we will get to who those were later in this production, but I recorded vocals. Matter of fact, one of the days we came up here on this stage to record it, partly because we had the monitors to show the lyrics as we were recording, so that was fun. And once we did that, I created the multi-track mixes, so that's where I take everything that's been recorded, everything that's been written, and I just put it all together and I make it all balance. So if you don't know what that is, let's say you have a trumpet, and let's say you have a voice. You want the trumpet to be quieter than the voice. There you go. That's basically what you're doing with mixing. It gets more complicated, but that's it at its basic level. At that point, I got all of the songs mastered. I did not master this. I actually have a friend from the state of Washington, who I will get to him a little more in a little bit, who mastered the songs for me. Now, we've worked together in the past. So, thanks, man. He's probably watching, or will be watching later. And of course, then the album will be released. The current plan for release is tomorrow. It may be Tuesday. But my goal right now is to have it out tomorrow by noon on Spotify. And so if anyone would like a link to that, definitely ask me after the fact, and I can get out a mailing list. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, For our team members, so the first person we have listed here is a gentleman named Jared Hymas, and that is not spelled correctly. His name is spelled Jerry D. Hymas. Very unique, very easy to look him up. He's also from the state of Washington. He's actually friends with my master. He very wonderful guitar player. He's about a year younger than I am. He did all of the lead guitar solos you'll hear in the album, also any of the accompaniment. I think 3 of the 6 songs he is on. And many times I would just send him something, and he would get it to me that night or the next night, and I would basically use what he gave me because it was just that good. If it wasn't, his recordings are so clean, I could actually do what's called pitch correction, and it's so clean you couldn't tell it was pitch corrected, that the notes were changed. So wonderful to work with. And Jared, I know you're watching this at some point. We're absolutely going to do more work together. So for the vocals, this thing has a tendency to get shut off, so I'm trying to be very careful with this pack. So for the vocals, for the most part, it was my family, as I wanted to be authentic to the sound here at the gospel. So of course we had my father, Jay Ham. Joanna Ham did not want to do this. Joanna Ham will deny all accountability with this project. Joanna Ham, you will hear tonight on one of the songs. We got her on for as lead for a couple of the songs. We also had my mother as a harmonist, very excellent. She can do harmony pretty well, and she's been helping me, basically keeping me sane throughout this entire project. And also, we had Mr. Jimmy Williams. Mr. Jimmy used to be here, used to be a singer here at the Gospel, so I wanted to bring him back on. And I know he is watching the live stream, so thank you, Mr. Jimmy. It's great to have you on. And he will be the lead in a section of one of the songs you'll be hearing tonight. And as for my masterer, his name is Joshua Holtz. He is 2 years younger than me, from Washington. He actually did a degree at Berkeley. And I should clarify, both Jared and Josh have released their own albums in the past. Josh actually released his 4th big album, I want to say several months ago at this point. So great guys to work with. Let's go on to the next slide. So for the music that was selected, again, these were songs that we sing at church. So I started with the piece called People of God, which the main reason I chose that one is when I started working on the piano parts, whenever I started doing praise and worship, that was one of the first songs I worked on. And honestly helped me to really get into the style of how to lead praise and worship here. I then did I Sing Praises. That's just one a song, one of my favorite songs, one that we play very often. More Precious Than Silver. Amazing Grace was a fluke. We did Amazing Grace during the recording session at the last minute because Jay Ham wanted to sing it and wanted to record it. So I just hooked up all the mics and we just sang that. So that is being included on the album, because why not? And then the 2 you're going to hear tonight, I'm actually going to talk about the last one first. There Is None Like You. That is one of the other songs that, even before People of God, that is a song that I was really using to get the style here, especially the slow pieces. I love that piece. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece. And I've been working on developing the piano part more fine-tunedly for quite a while. During this project, we realized there was a verse we've never been singing, which is the only verse in the song outside of the chorus. So we decided kind of at the last minute to include it. And so you'll actually hear Mr. Jimmy leading that verse. So again, thank you to him. And then that song, I Know That I Know. For those of you who noticed, the title of the album is I Know That I Know Songs of Worship. I Know That I Know, several of you may not have heard of before, but if you go to this church, you have heard it before. This is a song written by South Louisiana music minister, I don't know really what to call him. He travels around the state, Gene Vincent. Mr. Gene, one of the other reasons I wanted to create this album is about a year ago, I want to say at this point, maybe a little more, Mr. Gene had complications with his throat with cancer. And so he's not been able to sing to the same extent in quite a very long time. He's only recently gotten to the point to where he can, speak as well as he used to. So I knew I wanted to include at least one song, and I knew it had to be I Know That I Know. And it had to be the title of the entire album, because you take all these others. We're singing these songs, so we have to know. We know that Jesus is real. We know, because I know that I know. And so that's why I'm making this album, because I know that he's real. And I want to make this for him. And so that's the penultimate on the album, and that is featuring Joanna Hamm as lead. We almost kind of did that as sort of a lullaby-ish type thing, so you will get to hear that. Actually, I think you're going to get to hear it now. So I'm actually going to have our lyric switcher, our computer control person back there. She's actually going to pull up two of the songs. She's going to pull up first, I Know That I Know. And so we're going to listen to it. And if you know, we're also going to show the lyrics on screen if you'd like to sing along. So here is I Know That I Know. Isn't she so good? Tell her she's so good. Because she won't believe you. And so then the other song we're going to listen to is the final song on the album, There Is None Like You. This features all of our singers, minus Joanna. So she's happy about that one. So yeah, and this one's a little more interesting. So you are going to get to hear one of Jared's guitar solos in this. You'll also get to hear quite a few other extra touches that I added throughout the song. So you'll know them when you hear them.
There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. And I can search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. And I can search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. Your mercy flows like a river wide, and healing comes from your hand. Suffering children are safe in your arms. There is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. And I can search for all eternity
So that's a taste of the album, those 2 songs. As I mentioned, there are other 4. So we're going to go back to the presentation and end this out. I do want to thank, for the most part, I want to thank everybody who participated on the album. Of course, I gave the list just a little while ago, but I also want to thank the approval board at the Louisiana Tech School of Music for allowing me to even do this project. I was honestly kind of surprised they even allowed it in the first place. A very religious album like this. So I thank them for the opportunity to do this, because I'm not honestly sure I would have done it as soon if I didn't get to go and do this now. So, some challenges and some lessons learned just to kind of wrap things up here. This quarter was probably the busiest quarter I've had in my entire tenure at Louisiana Tech. This was not my only capstone project. I also had a capstone project for computer science. I also had an internship at Temple Baptist. I also had my regular classes. I also had my ensembles. I also record for Louisiana Tech University. I also have been trying to fix our sound system out here. I also lead. You see where I'm going with this? Honestly, the biggest challenge for this has really been getting it all together. We were originally actually going to have someone else do the drums. We actually had to drop him at the very last minute, partly due to time, but also because right before we were going to record him, he broke his thumb. So he's also a percussionist, and yeah, that's a wonderful world. He's better now, so unfortunately we didn't get to include him. So all the drums you're hearing were created by me. I wish we could have gone to have him. I would have loved to have had live drums for this, but unfortunately we didn't get to do that. Also, getting the time to get all of our singers together, because we wanted to come and honestly have them together up here because they play off each other very well. Had very limited time to come and record. So very much a running theme through this has been getting it all together time-wise. Thankfully, all of the instrument parts besides the guitar I created and I wrote on my laptop at home. So those strings you heard, the oboe, the flute, all that was done with a program I've had for years. And so I got to add all that. So that thankfully helped to speed up the process. And it honestly shows what's even possible these days with this kind of stuff and how much you can do with a fairly non-existent budget. Which honestly, that's one of the lessons learned, is that I honestly wasn't sure how far I was going to be able to push this. In some ways, I pushed it farther than I thought I could have pushed it initially. And also that this is even possible. Another lesson learned, try to tell people when you're going to do stuff about 3 months in advance. Didn't have that opportunity this time. 10-week period and getting approved the second week of classes. So that's a shame. But also, this isn't going to be an academic lesson. I mean, we're in church. I mean, we're going to have some spiritual stuff here. Throughout this project, more than once, when making these songs, I have not felt a move of the Spirit like that in a long time. I know that. I know that. Because I was listening back to these songs that I was in the rough stages of, and I was tearing up. I'm doing it right now. Look at that. I love these songs. I love these original songs, and I thank God that I got to work with them. I thank God that, frankly, we live in a time and place where we can even do this. Honestly, I'm just so thankful that I get to do this, that I get to make this music, that I get to play it for people, that I get to perform, that I can have people hear it. I can't think of a better way to close it. I know that I know. I know that this is what I want to do. I know that music is where I'm going to be. So, to those watching, because I know some of you who are watching at home, because I sent you this link, I sent you this link for a reason. And I know many of you, those of you watching at home, are my friends from other parts of the country who are younger and are trying to find your place in life. Pray. Pray. And here's what you need to know. 2 things. If you love it and you're good at it, that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Because I know there's a lot of you. I know there's a lot of you trying to find that. Amen. Amen. So, thank you. So we have about 10 minutes before the 6 o'clock. So we have light refreshments. So if you want to, between now and the 6 o'clock, if you want to get some refreshments right outside of the patio, feel free to do that. For those of you who are watching, we are also going to be live streaming the 6 o'clock service. It will be a separate link, and you get to watch and listen to the wonderful, and is illustrious the right word? We'll go with it. Andrew and John Eastman. So definitely stick around for their message. It's always good stuff from them. So thank you, and let's go get refreshed.